All right, just want to run you guys through a couple basic stretches from the feet that I'm sure you've seen before. Maybe we have a couple small details that might help you out before we get into the meat and potatoes of the guard flexibility course. Basic first and foremost, we really want to say, I mean, a lot of times people just think of the guard, they only think of their legs and lower body, but you really want to work out your upper body as well. So I want to go over a couple basic stretches that if you've played sports your entire life, I'm sure you've seen, but again, there are a couple small details to them that may or may not help you out, I think. So here, I'm going to be reaching across my body, my right arm. I can have a blade, I can have the radius, blade facing in or not, but the idea here is I'm going to be locking my arm in, and now rather than just pulling across my body here with my right shoulder, with my right arm here, all I'm going to do is I'm going to lock in. Really the key in this one is I'm going to be locking my shoulder in, locking my elbow towards me, and I'm going to be taking my shoulder blade in the opposite direction, We're here, and now I'm just opening my chest. It's difficult to see, but it's very, very different. This shoulder, I'm opening my chest and make sure that we're working that muscle. Rather than me just pulling across here, which doesn't do me a whole lot of good. You watch like 7-year-olds play baseball, they do this and they're like pulling across. The way that you want to be doing this stretch is you want to be locking here, and I'm going to open my back. I'm going to open my shoulder. Notice how my left shoulder is going to drop. Nice and easy. Same concept, we immediately worked into a stretch behind our back. I'm now locking my elbow into me, and I'm taking my shoulder down in the opposite direction. I'm using larger muscles on my body to move my shoulder, and that's going to give me a better stretch. So we're here. I lock in my elbow, and I drop my shoulder away from me. Switch to the far side. Lock in your shoulder, open your chest. All right, so make sure when we're doing these stretches, we're using the larger muscles on our body. We're using the larger muscles on our body in order to move the smaller arms, in order to move the smaller. So we're here. I am locking this arm in tight. I'm using my left arm here to lock this in tight. It's not loose. However, I'm not just trying to pull my arm across my body. I need to get counter pressure going. So we're here. We use our left arm in this case to lock our right arm in, and then we open our right shoulder. Basic stretch. You can come behind your head if you like, all the same really. Same concept here, lock in the elbow, counter pressure in the opposite direction with the right shoulder. And you should be getting a good stretch along your tricep, good stretch here. A lot of times, these are the sort of stretches that are also going to make you very, very difficult to shoulder lock. If you have extremely flexible shoulders, key lock should be extremely, extremely difficult to get you with. Not to say that it's impossible, just that no one's going to be getting cheap taps out of you with a key lock that's not perfectly executed. So moving on, we're going to have different stretches that we're going to be doing with our feet, different lower body stretches here. I'm going to be placing my feet together, reaching up, inhale, exhale on the stretch, and touch my toes. Make sure that you're not bending. You don't want to have a big bend in your knees. You don't need to hyperextend your knees. They can be out right here, but at the same time, you don't want to be cheating, and you don't want to be cheating yourself by bending. So make sure we're here, inhale, exhale. You can touch your toes. You can put your knuckles on the ground, or once you get the hang of it, you can put your toes. You can put your palms flat to the mat. Again, that's the sort of stretch you'll be holding for 10 seconds. Back up, 5-second rest. Back down for 10 seconds again. Next, what we're going to be doing here is we're working a couple different stretches. The first one, we're going to be taking our feet as far apart as we reasonably can, and we're going to be starting to lean side to side. However, a little couple of tricks on this one are most people are going to just lean down here and sink back. To add a little bit of stretch to it, what you want to do is you want to anchor yourself to the one leg. So what I'm going to do in this particular case is I'm going to take my right hand, I'm going to lock it to my left ankle, and I'm going to get a grip as if I were doing a kimura or a toe hold. And now I'm going to sink back. It locks my upper body into my left leg, increasing the stretch along the inside of my thigh. Hold, back up, back to the other side. Left hand in this case goes to my right ankle, lock it in, sink back the other direction. Now immediately we're coming back up, feet stay in the same position. You can actually walk them out a little bit more now that you're more stretched out and you're more comfortable. I'm going to crisscross my arms and I'm going to hang in the middle. Only now, rather than hanging directly down, I want to come backwards behind me. So we're here, I'm going to take my arms back behind. Walk them backwards. Once again, stretching out the backs of my thighs. Our next and final stretch here from the feet is going to be the Buddha stretch. All we're doing here is I'm going to take my feet far apart, a little bit further than shoulder width. I'm going to sit down, just hang right in the middle. I can rock side to side. This is going to be working out your hip flexors as well as your inner thigh. And now we're ready to move to the ground. We're going to get into the real meat and potatoes of the stretching routine that we have here. Alright guys, here's a quick variation of the Buddha stretch. It's going to help you out a little bit. When we're here, when I start sitting low, what I can also do is I can just start walking side to side, taking slow, short steps, and then slowly making them a little bit longer, sinking each time that I step forward and back. You can move side to side. Like, have you guys ever played like Street Fighter 2 and you watched Dolls and the yoga guy who breathed fire on everybody? He'd always do this before the match. You can do that too. And you can feel like a nerd at the same time if you actually know what I'm talking about. That's your basic Buddha stretch. All right, everybody, here's another counterpart to our standard shoulder stretch from the feet. Basically, the bonus of this here, using the jiu-jitsu belt, is that you're going to be able to change the angle of your stretch more efficiently than if you were just using your arms like this. From here, all I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be stretching my right arm. In this case, I'm going to be gripping the belt, and I'm now going to take my other hand behind my back to the small of my back, palm facing outward, and I'm going to grip my belt there. You can adjust your grip as necessary up or down the belt to increase or decrease the amount of stretch that you've got, and also to decrease or increase the amount of slack that you have to change the angle of your stretch. So when we're here, I can take my hand behind my head, and I can pull my arm directly down. However, because of the belt, I can also pull my arm outward behind my back, across my body to the same side. And this is going to be able to change the angle on my stretch for my shoulder. So here on the other side, again, gripping the belt. And I bend my elbow. From here, I can also straighten it out, allowing it to stretch my shoulder in here rather than just the back of my tricep. It's also going to stretch the inner shoulder here. Imagine if you're getting key locked, you can change your angle here, change the angle back, across the body, behind the head. You can pretty much go to any angle that you can imagine here, and it's going to work your shoulder out very, very efficiently. Alright guys, our next stretch, I know it's going to be extremely basic, but it's definitely important because working out the flexibility in the wrists is very important, wrists and forearms. One, because it's going to be good, it's going to help you out and your forearms aren't going to burn out as quickly if you're more warmed up. But also, you know, a lot of people are going to try to wrist lock you, and it's important to have your wrists as flexible as they possibly can be. Now, most of us, myself included, cannot force the palm of my hand down to, you know, the base of my forearm, which is, you know, that's a nice thing to be able to do. But the fact of the matter is that you either can do it or you can't. However, there are going to be a number of just basic stretches that you can use to work out your wrists. We're here. I'm just going to come to the base. I'm going to come to the base of my fingers, down about right where the fingers start. I'm going to catch my other hand there. I'm going to take my hand backwards, nice and easy. I'm not jerking my wrist backwards. I'm not trying to stretch. I don't want to strain. I'm just going for a nice and easy stretch. Here, we're now going to go in the opposite direction. Same concept. Base of the fingers, pressure downward and inward. You can also rotate your wrist in, not just straight down, but also inward. Stretch out your fingers, stretch out your thumb, nice and easy. And then the same thing backwards here. You'll feel the stretch down through your forearm. And then back in. Again, nice and easy on your wrist, and it's going to work out your forearm as much as anything else. Alright guys, another important part of the body to stretch out is going to be your chest. I know it doesn't have it's not directly influenced, or it doesn't have anything directly to do with guard flexibility. However, it's very important because the fact of the matter is sometimes when you're playing a guard, you're going to have people try to hop into arm locks on you, and you're going to end up in a situation where you're locked on, protecting your arm, trying to come out of that, and trying to come out on top and defend. And friends of mine before have torn their pectoral muscles when they've had people pulling on their arms, and it really is a result of inflexibility in the chest area. So what I'm going to be doing here to stretch myself out, to stretch out my chest and biceps, is I'm going to lay down flat on my stomach, and I'm going to take my one arm, put it out to the side, take my other arm, take my off palm and place it flat on the mat. And I'm now going to angle my body towards the arm that's stretched out. So, flat to the mat, arm out. My other arm comes up, and I'm going to angle my body, stretching out my chest on my right side,